everybody. I'm Jen.
Hi, I'm Renee.
And we have guests today on Marriage Plus Business. And these are friends of mine, and it's Stephen and Sanji Millette. Say hello.
Hello.
I know these guys through the Lisa Nichols and Susie Carter tribe. We're all in the Global Leadership Program together. They're authors. I'm an author. They're a happily married couple. We're a happily married couple. It was meant to be that we all sit down and have a chat. So welcome to this episode. And I'm just going to let Stephen and Sanji introduce themselves. Tell us what you're about. Tell us about your book, your story. Like, have fun.
No pressure. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Well, tell us about us, babe.
Well, we could start off how we met. We met the only way people meet in this new century, online. I met her on a website called blackpeoplemeet.com. And my membership had expired, and I saw her picture, and to communicate with her, I had to pay for another month. Best $10 I ever spent.
Real cheap date I was. I was with my girlfriends. We were looking online of who had looked at our profile, and his picture popped up. And so my girlfriend said, "Ooh, check this one out." He had a picture riding a horse through the ocean, and it said, "Let's ride." And I'm like, I am not going to talk to this playboy. But because my girlfriend says, "I'll talk to him," I said, "Not on my computer, you won't." And the rest has been history ever since.
And we've been married now. We just celebrated our 12th year anniversary.
Yeah, last month.
Of being blissfully still on our honeymoon, married. And we are excited to share with people. And we've been in business about a little over 2 years now. And it started off with me generating this business, and as Sanji was supporting my efforts with all the stuff in the background and just happy being an admin, I attended the Lisa Nichols conference, and she tagged along. She was just on vacation. She stayed up in the hotel room and got massages and went to jacuzzi and stuff like that. But as things progressed, she came more and more in. And so we decided, let's do this thing together. Yeah. Let's tell our story.
Yeah.
And that's how we got here.
I wanted to support his dream. You know, in a great marriage, that's something we do. No matter how crazy it might be or how uncomfortable we might get, just supporting each other's dreams and being there. And so when I was there supporting him, I got excited. I got hooked. I'm like, yeah, this is really something that can happen. And so that's what we did.
Here we are, best-selling authors later.
Now that was an experience.
If you want to get to know your spouse, write a book with them.
Oh, so who came up with the idea, and how did you do it, and how did you decide to split that? That's a really interesting conversation. How does one write a book with their spouse?
With a lot of effort
and patience
and a lot of kindness, even when you don't want to be kind.
Oh yeah.
We always believe in communication, kindness, and fun. Whatever we do, if we don't have those things, then we either take a break and figure that out, or we stop it altogether, because we don't want to destroy that mojo that we got going. But he had the idea of writing his autobiography, and I type and I do the computer stuff. And so I'm reading the autobiography, and actually we're 75% done with that one, but we stopped that to write Talk Straight Damn It.
Oh, you were in the process of something else, and then this was born.
Correct.
Wow.
After attending Susie Carter's How to Write a Book in 30 Minutes session, I realized that we needed something that we could use as part of our business, something that we could teach from. So we took a lot of his lessons and turned that into Talk Straight Damn It.
But you know, something you probably want to tell them
is how we got the title.
How we got the title, Talk Straight Damn It.
Yeah, that's a fascinating title.
Well, we were in Washington, D.C., and we're a blended family, and we were picking up or dropping off the kids, with their dad. And we met in Washington, D.C. That was kind of a good point to meet. We were at the mall, and I was walking, and I had this limp, and it was very uncomfortable. And so Sanji turns to me and says, "Walk straight, damn it."
That's because it looked like a pimp walk. You guys know what I'm talking about. So I'm like, we just stop and just walk straight, damn it.
Saunter, right? That's saunter. Yeah. That's
that swagger that they have. But that began to turn into well, listen straight, damn it. And, well, if you talk straight, damn it, then I can listen straight, damn it.
Oh wow.
It's a fun way that we remind each other that what we're saying isn't connecting, it isn't communicating right, it isn't what we want to be, what we want to have happen. And so whenever we hear it or say it, we kind of laugh. Everybody laughs when they hear that thing.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about Talk Straight
wow.
is it's not most people, when they hear the title, they think it's about talking to someone else, right? But it's really about the conversation you have within yourself. Because if you can talk straight to yourself, you can get past those limiting negative beliefs. You can have a happy life, a happy marriage. And it's just fascinating.
Yes. And kind of getting back to writing the book together, he has his way of speaking and communicating. And I'm more of the systematic structure person. And it was tough sometimes.
Challenging. Challenging, that's the word.
I had to put on my editor hat and take off my wifey hat.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure, and that's what we do in business sometimes. Sometimes I just can't be your wife. We've got to make sure the money's there. We've got to do the work we have to do, and we have to push each other a little harder. I think I heard someone say what they actually do is they wear different hats that say wifey, marketer, CEO, and they put them on, and that when that hat goes on, that's the role they're playing. But it was challenging in that sense because he wanted to make sure that his creativity wasn't stifled, because that's something that can happen when you're systematic. And I wanted to make sure it was a product that people could learn from that weren't creative, different learning techniques and styles, having bullet points and things like that. So the two combined very well and came out with a really good product. People love the book and say that it's really easy to read and things like that. So
yes, and I have a copy of your book, and I love it. And what I like is Stephen tells a story, Sanji tells a story. Stephen tells a story, so I felt it very balanced. It wasn't one of you dominating. It truly was a joint effort coming from different perspectives on that topic, which was really very well done, guys. Good job.
Thank you. This morning we were recording the Audible version. So that's good. That's our next step to it.
How's that coming along? Is that as much as an involved process, like writing it, in script versus now going into a whole different medium with recording and all that? How is that?
It's a lot easier doing the recording because once you finish recording it, you have sound engineers that can take out the mess ups. And as you're reading along, if you mess up, you just go back and read it again. And then they'll take that part out. They'll cancel out any noise. And where your words may not flow so much, they can either stretch them out to make it sound like it's flowing or put them closer together if the pause is too long. So the sound engineers can do some marvelous things. All you have to do is just read it, but you got to have it in the right program, in the right format. And
wow.
So we're in the process now, but learning about it is just amazing.
Yeah, it's another one of those things where you gotta research it, put together your sound room. It's basically our closet with a couple blankets. Susie actually also helped us with that concept. Yeah. And then which programs you gotta buy, which microphones to have, and then just making sure we label it so that we can send it off to them to be able to do it. So
and the closet is a great sound room because the clothes absorb any echoes or stuff like that. So
Wow, so you actually are in charge of your own setup when it comes, like anything else today, right? Like all the equipment's there. So you just have to, but so it's more than just setting up your mic or your Bluetooth. You're actually in a room that's like almost like a recording studio, like a musician, because that's where I've seen that kind of stuff before. I've seen it like that, but wow, how big is your closet?
You must have a big
It's,
closet.
it's room for one person to stand, you know, with the computer stand in there, and you got the microphone hanging off of the clothes rack in your face, and you shut the door behind you, and you just start reading.
Okay, I'm impressed. I'm
That-
impressed. We don't have closets that big
So
here.
it's not a huge walk-in closet. 'Cause
Sounds
that's
like
what I
a
was
walk-in
thinking. So it's
closet
like
to
a
me.
regular
Well,
closet.
It's walk-in, but once you walk in, it's just room to turn around.
Gotcha.
So you got
Oh,
clothes
okay, I
on
know
this
exactly
side,
what
clothes on this side, and some clothes in the front.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
so I mean, you go in
I'm
and
jealous
and
of
I
the
mean,
closet. We live in a 900 square foot place in Monterey. Like, our rooms are our closet.
okay,
Gotcha.
okay.
Well, they have lots of tips on how to do it, no matter where you are.
Yeah,
You don't have
yeah.
to purchase a sound room or go spend some time. It is possible. Put up a bunch of blankets, 4 of them all around you, and you're good to go.
That's it. Hang you some blankets in the shower.
It's like with anything that we do, you got to research it. One of us is going to be more of an expert on it than the other, and the other one just has to concede and listen, and then add some input into it, and we make it together. And
It's really about knowing each other's strengths and letting that person, you know, display that at the time. And it's not taking anything away from me. It's not taking anything away from her. And I think if couples learn that in their relationship, there's room enough in the relationship for the both of them.
That is so cool. You know, in talking about your audio version, I actually had a client of mine request an audio version of my book because they were saying that I've written, it's about dancing and teamwork, but admittedly, I have so many friends in the auto repair industry, I kind of wrote it with them in mind, right? And they're like, you know, Jen, if you could create a version that's audible and we can listen to it and listen to your lessons as we're working on the cars, that'd be so great. And I thought about it, and I was going to go down that route, but you know what Renee and I did is we have not released them all. We've only done a few of them, but we got into our garage dance studio, played some music, danced the concept, and then talked about the concept, and then gave the homework for the concept in little video vignettes. So I don't know where that's going to go exactly and how that's going to be offered to the world, but we've produced 3 of them because Renee has become quite the talented videographer, and
Well, not a videographer per se, but more editing, because I like taking clips, right, and putting them together. And I've had to do things too with other clients where when they're talking, it's one long clip, and to kind of play with visual audio, I kind of edit it in a way that looks like speaking like different phases, even though it's from the same clip. So yeah, that stuff is fun. As far as a videographer, I've got my iPhone 11, and that's it.
Okay.
But that thing is that's a nice camera, you know.
Yeah.
That'll fit in the closet, right? Yeah.
Yes, it will.
Yes. We're actually recording some of our, like, taking video while we're doing the audio book so that we can have that for our memory and for whatever clips or whatever. You never know.
That's clever.
Yeah.
Smart marketing, guys. Smart marketing.
Hey, learned it from GLP.
Right. So now, okay, you guys do relationship coaching, and this, as you were saying, you want to do something to promote your business, and so this book is an extension of that relationship coaching, right?
Correct.
Yes, it is.
Correct.
So how tell me about that business. Like, how did you decide that relationship coaching was something you wanted to do? Did you feel qualified? What made you feel qualified? Like, because that's like, we're very careful to say, you know, we're happily married and we do this Marriage Plus business blog, but we're not counselors, we can tell you what we do, but as far as advice, when people say, well, how do you guys do that? I'm like, because I married the most perfect fit for me and I got lucky. So how do you guys take on clients, help clients? Like, how do you make their lives better?
Well, it's kind of an extension of just who we are. We would always find couples coming to us, and of course he had his side, she had her side, and you know, it's almost like a courtroom drama. They're trying to prove their side. Yeah.
Tell
And
them
we
he's
would just
wrong. Tell her she's wrong. Yeah.
right. And so just in sharing with people some of the things that work for us. And then we found that people really enjoyed it, and they gravitated toward us, and they grabbed a hold to the things we were saying. We're saying, hey, you know, this is valuable.
Mhm.
And then we just started promoting it. We started telling people, well, this is who we are. You know, we just jumped out there. We're relationship experts, you know. And we've had different experiences in relationships. I'm her second husband.
Mhm.
She's my fourth wife.
I am number last.
Number last. And so through all of those experiences, the good, the bad, and others, we take from those and just share with people what works for us. Because our thing is just love life, love the one you're with, love what you're doing, where you are, love the journey. We're oftentimes pushing to get somewhere, to get to a certain dollar amount, to get to a certain kind of house, to get to certain material things. But when you push, when you get there, that same person that was pushing is who shows up. You're still pushing. So what we try to share with people, enjoy where you are. Yes, you can set intentions and you can move in the direction of your dreams, but be happy along the way, because when you get to that $1 million, when you get to that mansion or you get to that vacation home, you bring a happy person with you.
Now, as you can hear, my husband is a very good orator. He is an ordained minister. He is a comedian. He is a professional instructor. So he talks all the time for a living, and I do too. But when you're building a business, and like you said, how do you know that you are an expert in the topic that you're doing? It took a lot for me mentally. That's part of the talk straight, damn it, that I had to come up with to feel confident in my abilities. But we do a lot of research. We do a lot of talking to people, like couples like yourself, and understanding what it takes to what you think that makes a marriage works, and get your information to put things together. And it just grows on you. And like you said, we're doing something we love. I feel sorry for people who go into business who are like, okay, let's invest in a franchise. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know if we like what we're doing. But when you're doing something like what you guys are doing, taking lessons from dance and what we're doing, taking lessons from our past, it becomes second nature. And it's just so much easier to enjoy the journey than choosing something you have no idea what's going on.
So true.
Right. And also too, as we all know, the road to success is not always a straight line. And sometimes we have challenges. That's why when we took our vows in sickness and in health, for richer or for poorer, if I recall, you guys had to deal with COVID. Would you feel comfortable sharing what you guys had to deal with?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes,
Absolutely.
of course.
It's important for people to hear this, because what everyone's seeing is this happy couple, the Millettes, right? But when they hear what your experience was with COVID-19, oof, you guys have been through some challenges. So please, if you don't mind, tell us how it happened and what you went through.
Let me start this one off.
Yes, please.
We were enjoying life as we normally do. We were off on a ski vacation in Sun Valley, Idaho.
Doing business. Don't forget the
And we
business.
also were doing business. I was the keynote speaker at Gospel Fest. We did 3 seminars while we were there. and we were partying with about 700 of our closest friends from the National Brotherhood of Skiers.
Oh yeah.
It
In
was
February.
amazing. It was amazing. And we come back home, and we go to work on Monday, and Sanji comes home sick.
It just hit me so fast. It was funny because I'm an entrepreneur, a
Dualpreneur,
dualpreneur.
yeah, there you go.
I have a day job and a business. And I was sitting in our COVID meeting. I was supposed to be in charge of COVID for the office.
No.
First of all, she's a safety and health professional.
No.
Whoa.
So while I'm sitting and they're talking about the symptoms, I'm beginning to feel it. I step out of the meeting, I'm coughing, I'm starting to do my social distancing, I'm making sure my hands are clean so that I don't do anything to impact anyone. And before I knew it, I told them that I'm not coming in tomorrow. I just don't feel well, even though I didn't know what it was at that time. And then by that night, I was locked in the bed. Wasn't able to move out of that bed for
10 days.
10 days, yeah.
10 days. Wow.
And it got so sick to where her breathing had become laborious. And so now she came down with it Monday. I came down with it Wednesday. So we're in the bed together. Luckily, we had our 2 adult daughters here at the house, and they gave us room service. I mean, they come up to
Took care of us.
because the best we could do is get from the bed to the toilet.
Oh.
That was
Yeah.
about it. And it
was painful to do that.
Yeah.
It was very painful to even roll out of bed. Your body hurts so bad.
Oh.
Lost the taste, a sense of, well, actually, I had my taste affected. It became hypersensitive. Some people lose their sense of taste. Mine, I couldn't stand the smell of anything.
Whoa.
And all of my favorite foods, and they tried, I do mean all of them. They went everywhere I said I wanted to taste something, and I couldn't eat any of it. And I didn't know what was going on. And it was early on in the COVID situation where they kept saying tests were available, but they weren't available. So we had to get tested for flu. I got tested for flu first.
Right. Because they wouldn't give you the COVID test. So tested for flu, it came back negative.
And so that took like 3 days.
And it kept getting worse.
And then we contacted my doctor. Well, they said once I came back negative, I could call my doctor. My doctor then set it up so that we could drive through to get the COVID test. And that test, they don't talk about it enough.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It is a long Q-tip that they shove up one nostril like they're trying to reach your brain.
Yeah, and they're like scratching you in the middle of the brain. It feels like it's awful.
I don't laugh, but the way you guys are describing is pretty
So wait a
comical.
minute. I've had the test for the flu, and I've seen they go in with that hurts. So you're telling me that for COVID,
With
swab,
similar.
and it's both nostrils, right?
Yes.
That's what I've heard.
So after the first one, you're like, okay. And she's like, no, I got to go up the other one. It's like, oh my God. So we got the test result, or we took the test. It was 5 days to get the results back.
But this is what they tell you when you take the test. Oh, you can have the results in 24 to 48 hours, but because there's so many of them, it might be 2 weeks before you get your results.
Oh my God.
And if you're negative, we won't even call you.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it's the confusing thing that they told us. So 5 days go by, and I get a call from the health department. Must be something going on with the curfew.
Yeah, we're
so
hearing
5
about,
days.
we'll get into that later. The curfew. But anyway, yes, COVID. First chaos, and then we'll go to the next chaos.
Okay.
So 5 days go by. I get a call from the health department. They tell me that my results are negative. So I call everybody saying it's negative. But I still have all the symptoms.
She has every symptom in the book. Chills, body aches, diarrhea, no energy. I mean,
loss of smell, all that.
She had every symptom in the book. High fever. And the test comes back negative.
And so I call everybody, tell them they haven't been, they haven't been contaminated. And then 2 days later go by, because I still can't get out of the bed. I'm still exhausted. I'm still trying to cover. They tell you that you have to be, symptom free before you can really do anything. But 2 days later call, and my doctor calls back and says, well, how's COVID going? And I'm like, what are you talking about? So I actually had it. they misread the results the first time. So now I
Really?
gotta call everybody back and tell them that I have it.
Oh my
And
God.
so by the time I actually got the positive result, it's been 2 weeks, and now I don't really have the symptoms anymore. But it still takes you 5 days to get all of your strength back, because I'm like, okay, I've been down for 2 weeks. I need to go downstairs and clean some kitchen and clean up the house, and I can only do 30 minutes, and I'm not back upstairs in the bed.
Well,
sleeping.
but this is how this thing does. You're laying in the bed and you're starting to feel good, all right? It's like, oh, okay, I feel good. Let me just get up. You stand up out the bed and it feels like the room is spinning, and all you can do is lay back down because you have no energy to do nothing. And so it is a slow progression. And some people, what I'm hearing, don't fully recover. I mean, we are fortunate and blessed that we have made 100% recovery. But it was scary where when she wasn't able to, it was hard for her to breathe. I had to take her to the emergency room.
Hmm.
Now, he's got COVID while he's taking me to
Right? Yeah, I'm not quite as bad as she is, and so we're laying there. You can't do nothing but watch the news, and so she sees them putting up these tents like on the soccer fields and then the parking lot. And so she's like, "Don't let them take me to the tent." I'm like, "Baby, I'll hide you in the basement. I ain't gonna let them take you nowhere."
You know, the saddest part of this whole thing is people are in the hospital by themselves with nobody to talk to or to understand what you're going through.
That is
And
just
that is
terrible.
awful. It's awful. And I'm just happy that I'm glad we had it early.
Yes.
And we had it here together.
Yeah.
And so we have that whatever immunity that our immunization system has developed.
And now she's confirmed. They never gave me the test. But the health department says, because she got it, you got symptoms, you're presumed. So she's confirmed, I'm presumed. But
So he's not in the numbers.
I never was tested.
In addition, our daughter got it 3 days later, a much milder version of it. And she's not in the numbers. So 1 out of 3 in this household were counted. I was patient number 2 in our township for COVID.
Whoa. What about your coworkers on that day that you went and here you are trying to host this meeting? Did anybody get it?
None of them got it. None of them got it. In fact, my boss and my boss's boss were in that meeting with me.
Oh my God. Seriously. Damn.
Wow.
Wow.
That's crazy. That really is.
And now we're dealing with the bills from it. You know, they say that all of it is covered, but it's not all of it covered. They don't cover the flu shot, the flu test, which you required to get before you got the other one. So I've got to pay for all of that. And we've got the emergency room visit when I couldn't breathe. They finally gave me an inhaler when I went there and got an x-ray. So now I've got that bill.
But that one should be covered.
If you've got your bills and you're paying for some of those things, I recommend you call them back. There is a code that the healthcare people need, and it has to say that it has been associated with COVID, and then you may get more of it deducted, if not all of it covered. But if it was just I went in for the flu and they didn't write down that you were sick with the symptoms of COVID, they're not covering it. So.
Whoa. Wow. So you had the physical hit of COVID. You had the financial hit of being out of work and medical bills. Oh my God. So what are the pricing for the COVID? Because like, for example, we have a really high deductible HSA plan. I think we have to pay a deductible together for like $12,000 before we start seeing anything covered.
Right.
Would we be covered under our own deductible, or is it more?
Well,
I mean, that's crazy.
The way they're doing it now, they have these drive-up test stations. So check with your local health department and find out where they have the drive-up COVID test stations. Those I don't even think you even show them your medical card. You drive up, when you call, make an appointment, drive up, and they give you the swab, and then you go on your way, and they tell you what you have. Because the surprising thing about it is they don't give you any medication. They don't give you any prescription. They just say, well, go home and take what you normally would take for the flu.
Oh.
Yeah.
Be quarantined, but stop by the drugstore and get what you regularly take for the flu.
Man. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
And you still love each other after all that.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
In fact, I wouldn't trade him for anything. In fact, we think that we're going to do a series on is your marriage quarantine proof?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
brilliant. That is so brilliant.
I'm sure there'd be a lot of
Yes.
testimonies
Yes.
across the country, if not the world.
Okay, you
Yeah.
know what? You bring up a really good point. You bring up a very, very good point, and I've been watching it closely. We have shelter in place here in Monterey, California, and California is really still, it was one of the first states to get super strict, and it remains pretty strict. We only just now entered phase 2 to where
There's dining in restaurants
and
right
they
now.
finally opened up the hair salons, which a lot of people are super excited about. I get it.
Yeah.
And we have our dance business, but there is no dance. And
Yeah, gyms are not open as far as
gyms-
I know.
yeah, so and that's okay, because you know what? Our dance habit is the hobby that pays for itself. It's fine. We don't have to.
Plus, we have a dance floor in our garage.
Yeah, so we can get out our
complete
jollies.
with mirrors and sound system.
Yeah,
and
we can just dance together.
little track lighting up there, so
Yeah.
we're good.
So that business is closed down for the rest of 2020. But you're right. Like there are a lot of people that have come into our area because we're by the beach, Monterey, California, and they're not wearing masks, and they're they're very upset that they have to shelter in place, and they want to be able to go where they want to go. And I get it. I hear them. But here's my theory. My theory is they don't want to be home. It's not the staying at home that they're protesting. It's the unhappiness within their home that they're
Ooh.
protesting. But my theory is that they're not going to say that it's because they can't stand their spouse. They're just going to say, these are my freedoms, damn it, and I'm going to go out if I want to.
I had a boss that used to say, I go to work to rest.
Yeah. Yes, we're building a business at home. Sometimes you need to go to work to rest.
Yeah, and with the numbers of domestic violence increasing,
Or those that aren't being reported.
yeah, like child abuse, it's not being reported because the kids aren't going to school,
Right.
and their
Right, that's what I
safety net has
Mm.
so it's heartbreaking and fascinating, and it's all that in a bag of chips. And then you have recent with the riots going on in Minneapolis, and now curfew. So tell us about curfew. What is going on with that? We don't have curfew because we're still in shelter in place. So it's the same.
So you got the curfew all day.
I think some places have both.
Wow. Yeah, Monterey.
No.
The joke with Monterey is we have newlyweds and nearly deads. So there's not much going on.
Nice.
That's nice. That's great.
Well, Wisconsin, that's where we are, is a very interesting place. We have a Democratic governor that signed a safe at home order, and he has a Republican legislator that tried to override him. So they took him to court.
Oh,
Our state Supreme Court judges are elected. And right now, their numbers are in favor of the Republicans.
oh,
So they overturned the governor's stay-at-home order.
ooh.
And so every county, every city kind of does what they want to do.
Wow.
Wow.
That is very interesting. Yeah.
Dang.
And so it is nuts.
Yeah. And then
So
on
where
top
are
of
you,
that,
Wisconsin?
we're near Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
We're outside of the Milwaukee airport area.
So
So
it's
we're
a
outside.
urban area, and therefore the curfews because it's an urban area. And have you guys seen some activity over the weekend?
Well, no, well, we're right outside the urban area. We're in more suburban area. Maybe this is not a very densely populated area. When you count Milwaukee and all the suburbs, you might get to 1 million people. And so out here where we are, we don't see any of
Violence.
the violence or the protests. but there's plenty of marches and shutting down the highways,
Things being burned.
things being burned, and so it's almost like a tale of different worlds, because one of my daughter's friends just recently got back from Minnesota. She went up there to help with the protests and brought supplies and stuff.
Oh.
And from what my daughter tells me, this young lady has been traumatized.
Oh.
They surrounded them with horses. They surrounded them with armed police, and then they also had the white supremacists that were isolating groups of people, and they're carrying their guns, but they're not showing that part on the TV.
And when the cameras are showing, it's kneel down, don't do anything. But when the cameras are gone, it's a whole other story.
And so it is. I mean, and this young woman has been traumatized.
Oh my.
So I mean, and this, one of our daughters lives in Madison, which is about an hour and a half, which is the state capital here. And they were having protests and everything. And I talked to her last night, and I said, "How are you doing up there? What's going on? I hear things happening up there." And she told me, that she, in good conscience, couldn't stay home. These young people have to live with this for the rest of their life, one way or the other. And to watch a man killed on television before their eyes. But see, this is kind of like a tipping point. This has been happening all throughout this country's history. But
Yes.
They were always able to keep it off TV for years. And now, once you get the videos, they try to tell you what you're seeing isn't real. But finally, they couldn't deny this one. They came out with a false autopsy report to start with. Now they just came out with the new autopsy report today that said it was asphyxiation and it's a homicide. And it was not only because the guy had his knee on his neck, the other officer next to him had his knee in his back, which also helped prevented him from breathing. And so the people in the street are protesting a murder on live television.
Oh.
And so they're trying to change the story as though, hey, these are, thugs and they're looting. And Dr. Martin Luther King quoted, he said, the method of the unheard is protest, which can turn to violence because you're not heard. You've been to the police, been to the courts, you've reported it. And they say, oh, there's nothing to see here. They were just, and so the people are tired of it. And so now they're being able to see it. And the thing about it is, this is worldwide now. There are protests in Europe, in the UK, Germany, just all over the world. They are protesting.
Oh, really? For what's happening in the States, or are they echoing what's going on in the States, and they're showing the oppression in their own cultures? Is that what's going on?
They are talking specifically about what's happening in the United States.
This is what happens when I have a television.
Yeah, in Canada, I mean, it's all over the world.
Yeah. I was actually working on a big project this weekend, and I really shut out all of the world around me. I had the opportunity to see the SpaceX launch.
Oh, nice.
And then I think it was Sunday. I turned on like Google Home or something, and it was like riots and like what? And then I went back into my work mode because I'm like, okay, I can't do anything about that, but I'm going to make the world a better place through this project that I'm doing. Now here's a caveat to that. 2 of my friends on Facebook, both Black men who I love and respect very much. One said, I will remember my white friends who are silent. That's a bother to me. And I saw that and I was like, uh-oh. And then the other one was like, I appreciate my white friends, but stop speaking for me. Let me do the speaking, but you stand down and you support me. So I have these two conflicting, right? People I respect, people who are saying speak up, and others that are like shut up, right? How and Renee is half Filipino, half Latino. He's a man of color, a gorgeous shade of caramel, if I can say. Anyway, but the question I have is, for those that want to show support, but we don't necessarily, want to get in the throes of it because we're physically not there or we're busy working. What can I do to support and show my love and show my respect to my friends? I mean, it is a long history. It is we've seen a lot of problems in our history, and they do not get fixed overnight. But what can I do personally to help you and our tribe?
I wanted to speak first, but she
I'm gonna
wanted
speak
to.
because I know he's going to have the more juicier information. But what I want to say to you is that I heard you say those are two opposites. I don't think they're opposite. I think they're saying things that are complementary.
Oh.
You can still speak up and say, I support this and that incident was wrong, but you don't have to speak on behalf of the feelings of the other gentleman. Does that make sense? So both can be done and accomplished, but I'm sure you have.
Well, yeah, there's several. There's no one magic bullet, but one of the, I guess, hardest thing for people to understand. So when you say people of color, African American, you think of one group of people. And the research shows there are 11 or 12 different groups of African Americans in this country. See, when people speak of Africa, they speak of Africa as it's a country, but Africa is a continent,
right,
of many different
African
nations and tribes. And so what you can do is listen, show empathy, and do your best to recognize the suffering and pain. Because I was listening to a doctor on television, African American psychologist, and what he was sharing is something that people don't really understand. He was sharing how that every time an unarmed black man is shot and killed by law enforcement, it sends shock trauma through the African American community. And it happens over and over. And then the police get away with it. They're not arrested. They continue to carry a gun and a badge. And so we are terrorized by the police. And so they say, well, you should trust police, but how do I know which one? And see, what people don't really understand, and this is just a little brief history lesson, that the police department was born out of what they call the slave patrols. They didn't have police here. They had people that were deputized that were running around grabbing escaped or free Africans in this country and bring them back to the plantation.
Oh,
and
wow.
That's where your police department has its origins.
Wow.
And so there's so much in history that we don't know. Let me share this tidbit with you. Have you ever wondered why the pictures of these black men being lynched is so prevalent? These are prevalent pictures that, they'll show them from time to time. But what people would do in this country, see, lynching was an event. It was just an event that white America would do. And so they would invite all of their friends and have a picnic as they lynched black men in front of everybody.
Oh.
And then and that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was that they burned the bodies and then they would cut pieces off of the people, take them home as souvenirs.
Oh.
And set them up on their mantle.
Oh my God.
So they don't tell you this horrific part of history. But what happens, there's a great doctor, Dr. Joy DeGruy. she takes one of those pictures, and so they show all the people there, and if you notice, they're dressed up in suits at the lynching, because this is a big deal. And there's a little Caucasian girl sitting there, and she's watching it. She has to be about 7 or 8 years old. She's not grimacing, she's not crying, she's not throwing up. What's happening is she's being socialized into the way Black people should be treated.
Ooh.
And so you fast forward this, and her grandson or great grandson that get the same socialization grows up to be a cop. And so what happens oftentimes is that what Black people have been experiencing, white America sees it totally different. Because what you will hear, well, he must have been doing something wrong.
Oh.
And so therefore he was justified in the treatment that he got. So you can take the same incident and show it to two different people. We're horrified to see an unarmed Black man getting shot in the middle of the street without a gun. But then other people, because of their socialization, he must have deserved it. What was he doing wrong? Why was he over there?
And you know, I've heard the same argument for she was asking to get raped.
Yeah.
That child was asking to get abused.
Yep.
That person
and I want
to get fired. Yeah.
Both groups have been tormented, have been traumatized by the situation. It's heart-wrenching, whether, I'm sure for every American, whether you're the one that, hey, he did something wrong, or the one that's terrified that he did nothing wrong and that they could do the same thing to you. And we all have to understand, and it's part of what we say in our book, that, you know, it's just, who told you that? You know, how were you, what is it, how were you,
there's a book that we have read called The Fifth Agreement. And the term he uses is called the domestication of humans. And so we have all been domesticated one way or the other. And so our parents, they teach us, they give us the religion. Our parents, they give us, you know, what their parents gave them. You go to school and you get what they tell you in your community. And so we've been domesticated into a way of thinking. And I think the part of being an adult is growing out of those domesticated thoughts. And not to blame those people.
You're so popular.
are we still there? Can you see us?
You're
still
good.
here.
You're good. But
Okay,
you know
perfect.
what? I see where you're going. I see where you're going. Communication and talking straight is so required on every single level of relationship. Partner to partner, sibling to sibling, spouse
Culture
to
to culture.
spouse, business to business. And then we have our groups, right? Church to church, community to community, city to city, not following what the governors say. It's like, and then, you know, state to state. It is, you're right, communication and talking straight and having an open heart is so critical to the healing process. And you know, the stuff that you told us just now is super heavy, and I did not know it. Guys, I used to teach history. I did not know it. Do you know I had to move out to California from Florida to learn about the Japanese internment? We didn't know anything about that back in the South at all. Like, huh? Really? This happened?
And to be honest, we never learned it. I didn't learn it until I read a couple more books. I got more education in my adult life than I did in my childhood life.
Yes, right? And so it is heartbreaking that this happened. But I have to say, there's a silver lining out of all of this. We are in the 21st century. We're in the most crazy year of the 21st century of 2020. But we have the internet, and we
Yes,
can be
we
in
do.
Monterey, California, and you can be in Wisconsin, and we can have this beautiful conversation, sharing ideas and sharing hearts
And seeing each other.
and seeing each other and educating the world on what it's like. I mean, I don't even know if anyone's going to watch this. Hopefully.
They
But-
will watch. It's going viral. We're talking straight, damn
Yes.
it.
Right? But where I'm going with it is I want everyone to know that, like, you know, I wanted to have Marriage Plus Business blog, including others of different colors, of different backgrounds, because I love inclusivity. I love diversity. I love seeing different viewpoints. I love hearing different stories, however heartbreaking they can be. Because you know what? It's going to educate me and make me be a better person. And thank you for answering my question of how can I support? By listening, by being empathetic, and by standing up and saying something. So I will, and thank you. And thank you for that, really. Because it's whew, wow. I love it. We are not afraid of going deep and going hard, right? So let's lighten up a little bit. Not to give, that was respectful, but like truly. Okay, so you've got, I'm kind of going in like a little different direction, but it still is kind of at the topic. Okay, you've got some really challenged couples that you're talking to. And he wants to point the finger at her, and she wants to point the finger at him, and they're just, you know, they're on the brink of divorce. What do you tell them? How do you help them? And do you have any happy stories where you've reversed that train going down that path?
Yes, there are some. Where we like to start when they're at odds is to get them back to when they were dating and when they were first falling in love. Because what happens is that as time goes on and people become increasingly frustrated with each other, it's easy to pick out the flaw. It's easy to pick out everything you don't like when things are not going wrong or are not going right. And if you understand, one of my favorite sayings right now that I just uncovered reading one of my favorite Buddhist monks said there were many things that had to go right for you to be where you are right now.
And your favorite Buddhist monk is?
It's Thich Nhat Hanh.
Yes. And I would add to that we also have them work on themselves. A lot of times when you're looking at someone else, what do they say? When you're pointing at someone else, there are three fingers pointing back at you.
He says that all the time. Yep.
There you go. Good job. To do your work and your inner work and to make you a better person, and the rest will follow. It's the law of attraction, like you said when we started, is, you know, like attracts like a lot of times, and if you're a positive, warm, inviting person who's communicating and fun and kind, then that will bring that out in other people around you. So those are the two biggest things that we try to work with.
And this is kind of a little to the side a little bit, but one of my other favorite writers, Eckhart Tolle, he said the most important question you'll ever answer: what kind of world is this? Is it loving, kind, generous, and forgiving? Or is it backbiting, angry, mean, and bitter? So whatever you choose is what you'll seek, and you will surely find.
It is so true.
Yeah.
It is so true.
And so it's getting people to start looking for the good.
Yeah.
Start looking for the good, expecting the good. Because as long as, with husband and wives, learning to live together can be a challenge. The way you handle laundry, the way you handle dishes, how much you cut the grass, is the car clean enough, how you pay the bills. I mean, right. Keeping score. Whenever you keep score, you lose. You have a way of adding it up to where you're always putting in more than the other person.
You're the victim.
Make yourself a victim.
Exactly.
Oh my
and we
gosh. That,
Go ahead.
Sanji, I want to get back to that, but that was a great point. When you keep score, you lose. And look at what we're doing around the country right now.
Yeah.
Damn, that's profound. So how do we get away from not keeping score?
an attitude of gratitude,
Mm,
being thankful for the little things,
mm,
focusing on that. It's like what you look for, you'll find.
mm.
So if I look for good things that I'm grateful for and things that are going well, I'll keep finding them. But if I'm looking for the bad, there is no question you'll find it,
I like quoting different authors.
as you can tell.
I don't know if you all are familiar with Lynn Twist. I forget the name of her book, but she says appreciation brings about appreciation. So what you appreciate appreciates in value.
Oh, ooh, you got all the golden nuggets right now.
I told you.
Appreciation and value. Dang. I like it.
Yeah.
And
We like to help couples with, there are counselors out there who have gone to school for this sort of thing, but we like to focus on those one or two things that are really getting at your nerves, to do the smaller problem, to help them with that, to develop a practice, and then what do you say? Practice makes perfect, or as you say, practice makes
you better.
you better. So we try to hone in on smaller issues and then develop a muscle around that. And then we can teach you how to do it for every issue that you have. But that's how we coach our people. There was a couple that we worked with a little ways back, and she worked night shift,
Right.
and he worked the day shift. And when they came home, there was only a few minutes in there, and they had some issues going on between what they were thinking the other person was thinking. And when we coach a couple, we give them, like you said, both sides, husband and wife. It doesn't mean that I'm always on the woman's side. Sometimes I'm on the man's side, but I'm giving her a perspective from a woman's perspective, so she listens more. What's it? The Bible says a man is not respected in his own
home,
his own
hometown.
own town.
Hometown.
So she may not hear it from him, but she may hear it from me, being a woman who's gone through similar things with herself. And I give it to them in different ways to look at it. So that's the power in our coaching.
And it's about forgiving. Forgiving the other person, but you got to forgive yourself too.
Yeah.
When you can begin to let it go, I like that other saying, Nelson Mandela. It says, bitterness is the poison you swallow, hoping it will kill your enemy.
Oh, right.
So holding on to any of that stuff, it only contaminates your spirit. Sometimes people see forgiveness as giving people permission to hurt, abuse, or use them. But it's not. Forgiveness is about releasing yourself from that incident or whatever it may have been. So, I mean, we like to give people our definition of bliss, and this is what we shoot for every day, is the ability to love and be loved, to have abundance in complete forgiveness and without judgment. That's a tall order every day because we judge so quickly. Sometimes we hold on to things a little bit too long, and we see the world through lack, and we don't allow the love to come in, nor do we allow the love to leave out.
He's so full of, I won't say full of it, but he's full of all kinds of quotes.
I love it. I just pearls of wisdom, just like a string, just coming out.
And that's what makes our business so wonderful. I'm systems. He's the wisdom.
I love it. You are such a wonderful, wonderful player. I'm thrilled. What? How can people get a hold of you guys?
All right. Well, you can follow us on Facebook, My Blisstopia. I don't know
My
if we can.
Blistopia. I love it.
Yeah, did you put it there, babe? Let's see if we
What?
got it. My Blistopia. Can you see it?
Ooh, look at
There
that.
it is.
MyBlistopia.com. And you have a university? Ooh.
Yes, myblistopia.com University is about the educational side of it, the courses that we have and things like that. So we have a lot of materials. One of our favorite things that we like to do is our Pillow Talk series, kind of like a podcast, where we're just laying in bed and we're just having pillow talk and teaching people about topics that they can have on and discuss on their own. So
Oh, how fun is that? I like that
Nice.
concept. That's cool. So you
So,
so they go onto Spotify and do a search for Pillow Talk. They'll find Stephen and
it's fun.
Sonny.
Pillow Talk is on our YouTube channel,
YouTube,
which is under Stephen Millett.
yeah.
Oh,
But it's
okay.
also
It's also
We have-
it's also on our website, and I have a podcast called Igniting Your Bliss,
Yes,
where
and
you can find.
signed up to invite me on that, which was awesome.
yeah.
Yes, we will. Yep.
How
He's got to
fun.
get a couple more going.
I got-
since COVID.
I-
COVID kind
yeah.
of shut it down for a little
Yeah,
bit.
COVID kind of sidelined a lot of things. We got to get active, and we will definitely invite you on there to speak.
Yes, because we really enjoyed your book as well. You know, we get to read a lot of books from the Speak and Write community.
Oh.
And yours was really, I think it was one of the first ones you recommended to me from that
And
group.
you also interviewed me. It was super fun. It was super fun. I thought that was the podcast that we did. I think it was. Well, forgive me if it's been a while. Maybe it's time for us.
Okay. Well, but like Sanji said, it's well written, it's well thought out, and I like the flow of it. I read a lot of books, but your book is a very good book, and I highly recommend it. You know, and
Thank you.
I can love you without recommending your book. But if your book is good, I'm gonna tell you that's a
There
good
you
book.
go,
That's
good.
a good book right
What
there.
dancing taught me about running a successful business. It also allowed us to see how you can take something you love and apply it to the business concept and learn from everything. So it really was great. Thank you.
Yay! Well, thanks for reading it. It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun having a book. You know, it's like, here, I gave birth. Read it.
You know, what we find is amazing is when he's reading the book, he reads a lot of books, but we share the books. And then we have great conversation around the books and how it applies to us. So that's one of the things we recommend during our Pillow Talk.
Yeah.
Is that you find a book. We use Audible a lot. We share one account, we listen to the books, and then we come back home and we talk about it.
You know, we don't read a lot of books together, but we listen to a lot of podcasts, interviews. Like, we don't have a television, which is how we're blissfully ignorant of all the stuff that's going on in the world in the dumpster fire.
Right.
But we'll watch TED Talks. We'll watch Gary Vaynerchuk. We've discovered the comedian Russell Peters, who is hilarious. When we need something light, we watch dance videos because that's what we do. We watch West Coast Swing Dance Champions dance. It's our passion. You know, we're watching the dancers dancer. And who's another? Valuetainment, Patrick Bet-David. So yeah, we've been doing a lot of video watching, and whether it's and I read a book before I go to bed. So like I'm always filling up my cup with more knowledge because I feel like I can help the world become better when I myself am educated. And Renee has been doing his art and studying the art world and promoting himself as an artist. And we're doing a lot of, changing your mindset, learning a lot about video production. It's fun to learn. And it doesn't require the cost of an expensive college education either. We can just do it.
Or a date.
That's true.
Date night out costs a lot nowadays as well. And you'll never run out of things to talk about as long as you're talking about things that you're reading.
Yeah, and learning together. And so, I mean, this lady is my best friend. We went golfing on Mother's Day. How many guys can say that?
That's awesome.
And she and I have a great time out there on the golf course. And I mean, she just followed me everywhere, out to the ski slope. She didn't ski before I met her. She's followed me to the bottom of the ocean, scuba diving. This lady just followed me wherever I go, and I am so happy about that.
Yay. Well, come on out here and see us. We've got Pebble Beach.
Ooh.
That's where I have to go. Absolutely.
Come on.
Absolutely.
Gotta come down. Both
Come
of you.
on. Come
You
on.
know, I did a big part of my growing up in the East Bay,
Oh, I forgot about that. Which city?
Oh wow.
Hayward.
Hayward. That's right. I went
You
to grad school.
Hayward? Yeah.
I went to grad school there at Cal State Hayward, and I lived in San Leandro. I was like San Leandro, Hayward, and I kept going south. San Jose, Campbell, Monterey.
Okay, nice.
Monterey is where I'm here to stay, unless we go to Hawaii. That would be awesome. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Our son
Nice.
was there at Christmas last year.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Which
That was
island?
amazing.
He's in the Navy and he's stationed out there.
At Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, so we had to go to the ring.
Is that Oahu?
Yeah, Oahu.
Oahu.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah. Oh wow. You guys are amazing. Thank you so very, very much. We're going to go ahead and conclude this version of Marriage Plus Business. And thank you everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. The goods, the bads, the advice, the love. It was the laughter. It was wonderful having you, Stephen, Sanji, Millette. You guys are amazing. Thank you. We love you. And we appreciate you. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.